Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Red Letter, Yellow Letter podcast, a weekly anarchist, voluntarist, agorist variety podcast where we talk about and philosophize the morals and ethics of everything going on in the world today, tomorrow, and in the future. I'm your host, the Nev, and I'm joined by my lovely co-host and fellow anarchist, Harley. Harley, how are you today?
Working on getting spicy. I'm a little groggy, but I'm sure I'll get good and spicy towards the end of the episode.
I thought you were going to give everybody your catchphrase.
My catchphrase? What? Punch government in the dick?
Yeah, there you go. See, that's
is that my catchphrase? That's a cool catchphrase. I didn't know it was my catchphrase.
That is now your catchphrase.
Okay, well, it can be my catchphrase now. Okay, everybody, punch government in the dick. Let's go. Get your butt up. Put on your boxing gloves. We're going to punch government in the cojones.
Yeah. And,
all right, I good?
And I will simply look for alternatives.
Yep.
All my catchphrases are Star Wars related, so they are completely and utterly irrelevant to this podcast.
Some of mine are too, though. Like I've got never tell me the odds, like in bios and on different social media and stuff. So I mean,
mine is may the RNG be with.
It's what?
May the RNG be with you, not may the Force be with you. May the RNG, which is kind of you could philosophize about that. May the randomness.
You're super quiet. I'm having a really hard time hearing you.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. That is well, I mean, here's the thing. I'm getting you really, really clear. As in, like,
I have my volume up.
I don't know. I mean, I'm getting you clear, and I can see that I'm clear on the mic, so it's definitely got to be speakers at your end.
Let me see. I might just plug in my headphones in. Let's see.
I'm just rolling with this so that this is an IRL podcast.
No, yeah. Let me just see if I can hear you better this way. All right, say something.
Say something.
Way louder. Okay.
There you go.
Maybe it's just my speaker.
It's probably just your speakers. Yeah. Probably just.
You were fine until we started recording, and then all of a sudden it was like quiet. I'm like, okay, what happened there? All right, so we're good.
So we were talking. Yeah. So that's your catchphrase. I don't have a catchphrase yet.
You need one.
But I do. Yeah. I've got so many catchphrases, but all my catchphrases are on the Star Wars related, like I said. But let's philosophize. Let's talk about some stuff. So the first thing that cropped up that we said that we were going to discuss today was celebrity and celebrity culture. From a celebrity's point of view, because we were just chewing the fat and going over what we were going to discuss, and you instantly brought up Dwayne Johnson, and then obviously we kind of elaborated from that. So you brought up Dwayne Johnson because obviously he's this huge Hollywood megastar, and he made the mistake of coming out on a political side. So why don't you give everybody your thoughts on that before I jump in?
Well, I just, I don't know. Basically, yeah, he released a video saying how he sat down with doing like a call or whatever with Joe Biden and is it Kamala? Is that how you say it? I'm
pretty sure it's Kamala. Yeah.
It is. Okay. I've seen people say it's like the Ghislaine Maxwell thing again. Like I'm always worried I'm going to say everything wrong, and I'll say it wrong for the longest time until someone finally corrects me. But anyway, so Kamala Harris and Joe Biden like sat down, did a call. I didn't watch the whole thing because I didn't even want to try to stomach that. But and I'm not gonna lie, I love Dwayne Johnson, so I was like, "What the hell?" when I saw this. Stop breaking my heart. And he basically was full on endorsing like, "Oh, I believe they're best for the country. I've always spent my life being politically centrist and independent, and I believe Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are the best for the nation." It's like, how can you claim to be a centrist and you're endorsing Biden? Like, no. And so I guess I saw a tweet that said, since that happened, he lost, this was a few days ago too, he lost at that time 48 million followers on Twitter. As of right now, he's got, I just checked a couple minutes ago, he's got like 15.7 million, I believe. Mm-hmm. So add on another 48 million that I guess he had before. That's insane. That is a large drop. And yeah, all these people are coming out saying that they don't think he actually supports them. They're thinking maybe he was possibly threatened. He's a family man. He's got lots of kids, including little bitty ones. And so everybody's like, did Hillary do this essentially? Like, yeah, like what is to call, like, what the hell happened? Some are like, oh, maybe he was paid to do it. He's the highest paid actor in Hollywood and has been for a couple of years now. He doesn't need the money.
Yeah.
He's not just the highest paid actor. He's also got multiple businesses he does. So he does not need the money. So people are thinking he might have legitimately been threatened or something. I don't know. I mean, again, he would be an easy target because he is a family man. He's got little girls. So maybe, I wouldn't doubt it. But yeah, everybody is like, what the hell right now?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I don't blame him for it.
I must admit that I do get kind of confused when celebrities, especially the pop culture celebrities, like the pop, I mean, by pop culture, I'm talking about the big names, the popular names, the franchise names. There are actors and actresses and singers and groups and bands that aren't like at the tippy, that aren't the tip of the spear. They're not at the tippy top, but they're there. They're in around there. They're in abouts, and they can go about their lives anonymously because they never step into the political fray. They just remain part of pop culture. They go and they sing, and every now and then some one of them will pop up, or one or two of them will pop up, and they'll be like, I endorse this side. And it's like, by doing that, you're going to alienate a certain a certain amount of your customers. You have customers that don't care what your political leanings are, what your ideological is, because they don't know what it is. Okay? If you maintain that mystique, and if you don't dip your toe into the political fray, then it doesn't matter. People will buy, people will still consume the products that you put out, whether you're putting out CDs because you're a musician, whether you're putting out movies because you're you're a movie star. They'll sit in front of the TV and they'll watch your TV shows. But the second you start endorsing, the second you really, really start embracing politics, all you're doing is alienating a certain level of your customer base. Not just Dwayne. What's her face? Taylor Swift did the exact same thing. Now, when Swift, before she came out and endorsed a side, everybody was like, oh, people on both sides were like, yeah, we love her because she's not doing it. She's just giving us what we want. She is a singer, songwriter. She writes music. She sings. She dances. She does she entertains us, and we love her for it because we don't know what her political leanings are. And there was a lot of pressure on her to do it, and she finally caved and came out on a side. And then the other side were like, that's it. I'm not buying your product anymore. I know what, and it's like, you don't do it. If you're making 10 million a year and you want to keep making 10 million a year, don't alienate half your customer base. And a lot of people are like, oh yeah, but she's still making 5 million a year. It's like, yeah, but coming out and saying words that stops you making $5 million is just stupid. If you're a nice person, if you're a good human being, then you're going to take some of that money. You're going to be philanthropic with it, and you're going to give to charity. You're going to give to good causes. You're going to be you're going to be good in this way and that way and other ways. I mean, I would love to be a millionaire/billionaire because I would go nuts with it. I would literally go nuts with it. I would, I've always said I'd love to go back to my hometown and see and look at things and go, okay, so that's crap. How much to fix it? Oh, £20,000. Here's £20,000. Go and fix it. It's going to take 6 months. How much to get it fixed tomorrow? How much do you get? So that is a rec room for kids. How can I get that finished in a week? Tell me how much it costs to fix that in 1 week. I will pay it now. And then, or you could do something, slightly different. do the whole, let's go, oh, so the well's not working. How much would it cost, to fix this well tomorrow? I don't care how much it costs, how much, so having rich, wealthy people that are good and nice and friendly is good for people. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
She was good. So there's no doubt in my mind that she was being philanthropic with her money, and now she's making less, which means she gets to be less philanthropic. So that's another thing.
She was kind of a bitch. Taylor Swift is a nasty little bitch. I don't know if she was.
Yeah, no. I heard that,
that
you get you do, and that's the thing, is you get celebrities like that. I mean, I suppose Ellen's a perfect example of that. Apparently she is not a nice human being.
No,
yet she makes loads of money.
They're actors. They're gonna act like they're good people. That's all a show. That's what they do for a living.
I mean, I tend to think the ones that the celebrities that are part of the culture that say, oh, give to this, give money to this charity, do this good, you should do this good, you should do this good, are the ones that do the least good, because they think that giving their time, they think that they're so important, and that them giving their time to create the message telling other people to do good is doing good. When there are celebrities out there that do not do that just go out there and do good. I mean, a perfect example of that would be Keanu Reeves. I think the guy is wonderful.
We all know how much I love Keanu Reeves. Everyone knows
how
much I want to pinch his face.
I mean, not the greatest actor in Hollywood, but definitely one of the greatest people and human beings in Hollywood. I mean, he's done some absolute stinking movies. I mean, Johnny Mnemonic springs to mind.
I haven't seen it. I am an absolute fangirl for like the John Wick movies. Oh my gosh. Okay, so it was terrible. When I saw John Wick 3, I saw it just by myself, and I was sitting there in the theater, and there was this guy next to me with his girlfriend. And I was next to the guy, the girlfriend was on the other side, and we're watching it. And during just some of the most violent action-packed scenes, we're both just like, yeah, like a little, not like obnoxious, but like, oof, kind of stuff like that. And it got to the point where we were like high-fiving each other, like, did you see that? And his girlfriend looks over and shoots me the dirtiest look. I'm just like, sorry, like, we're just enjoying the movie. I'm not trying to steal your man here. Like, we're just, we're having a moment with Keanu Reeves.
He does good things. He does good deeds, and he is a nice and charitable person. You just don't know about it because he's not like, look how wonderful I am. Look at me doing all of this charity work and saying all of these good things and wonderful things, and you should be doing it too. It's like, no, he just does it.
He just does it. Yeah.
He just does it. Whereas you get people who are on Twitter and who are on Instagram saying, you should do this. And it's like, instead of telling other people to do it, why don't you just go do it quietly? And then when other people find out you're doing it, people will be like, oh my God, what a really nice person that, I'm going to do, that's what I'm going to do, make people, you encourage people to do it through your behavior. And if all your behavior is telling other people to behave good and telling other people to donate to this charity and do this and do that because you think it's good, well, then they are going to be like, oh, that's what I need to do. And then the people those people go and tell you've got to give to this. You've just got to give to this charity, and you've got, this person's great, and you've got to do this, and it's like, so are you actually doing it? And it's like, well, no, I'm not doing it personally, but I'm telling you to do it. So that's my part for the charity by publicizing this charity or publicizing this good deed. That's my part towards doing it. And it's like, well, then just go do it. It's like, oh, well, I can't afford it. It's like, but the millionaires, what, they can't afford to do it? It's like when very, very wealthy people endorse legislation to increase taxes. It's like, why
are you just donating?
If you think you should pay more taxes, then just write the IRS a bigger check. It's like, no, that other people won't do it. It's like, yeah, but you're not doing it right now.
No, I know.
You're saying that you need to be forced to pay more money.
Yeah.
and that other people should be forced to pay more money. I'm saying that if you truly believe that you should pay more, write a check to the IRS, hold it up to the camera and say, I think as a billionaire, I should be paying this, and I will be sending this check to the IRS right now.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Mark Ruffalo is a really good example of that. He always goes on about how evil capitalism is and how this tax needs to be raised and how we need to destroy, the concept of millionaires, etc. This man played the Hulk in the Avengers movies. This is not a poor man.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, what are you doing about it? And honestly, I've had the same conversation just about anybody, absolutely anybody that is on their high horse about how taxes need to be raised and more money needs to go this and here and there. Well, I would be happy to pay more money to go towards this cause. Okay, then fucking do it. Put your money where your mouth is and fucking do it. Why are you waiting for us to all be forced to do it? Why aren't you just doing it now?
Exactly. And I'm not the money and do it yourself.
Yeah, I'm not talking finding a homeless man, buying him a cheeseburger, post in your face, look, I did a good deed today. You're doing it for bragging rights. This is all, as much as I hate this term. I was just going to say, I hate that term because people throw it around left and right, but that is what it is. It is virtue signaling. So yeah, I mean, it goes towards celebrities for sure. Corporations easily goes towards corporations. Wendy's is actually a really good example of that. When all the protests started going on, all the Black Lives Matter, police brutality, et cetera, thing came up. Wendy's released this statement on Twitter saying, we've never endorsed a political stance before. And there were a lot of people saying, oh, that's not true. You guys have endorsed Trump. No, guys, just to clarify before anybody speaks up about that or thinks, oh, they supported Trump. It was one manager from one franchise that endorsed Trump. Okay. It was not actually Wendy's as a whole. All right. So let's get that out of the way. With that said, they're going on about how they support Black Lives Matter. They're listening to everybody's horror stories. And, the African-American community is so important to them. So they're going to donate, how much was it? I think it was $250,000. I think it might have been $250,000 towards, I cannot think of the name of the charity, but it was a charity dedicated to helping low-income African-American families get into college. Okay. Mm-hmm. On paper, it's like, okay, that's great. But now let's stop and think for a second here. If you Google Wendy's prison labor, they use prison labor to process their meat. Okay. You can Google this. This is not hard to find. It took me like 30 seconds to find multiple sites that are talking about this. Okay. So we're using prison labor. Prisoners only get paid cents per hour, like 10 cents an hour or some crap. Okay. How are prisoners getting into prison? By cops. What is Black Lives Matter speaking up about? Police brutality and incarcerating African-American community, systematic racism, etc., throwing them in jail for petty crimes, things they didn't do, planting evidence on them so they can meet the quotas. So Wendy's is banking off of these victims that the police are throwing in jail while claiming to be on the side of Black Lives Matter. Okay? And I'm sitting here like, wow, y'all are full of shit, aren't you? So, I mean, I was on a tizzy about that for a little bit because I'm just like, wow, like, this is a perfect example of virtue signaling. So, I mean, yeah, it's not just celebrities. It's the everyday man. It is the corporations. It's everywhere. It is absolutely everywhere. People saying, oh, I support this and I believe this. No, you only do if it's going to benefit you in some way. If you're going to get praise, if you're going to get more business, that's when you care about it. And I know not everybody is like that, but by all means, no, not every person is like that. There are plenty of people who do wonderful deeds all the time. They're usually the people, as you said, who just do it and they stay quiet about it.
Yeah. And the thing is that endorsing a political ideology, whether you're a celebrity or not, it has the potential to destroy you. I mean, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong. If that's what you want to do, then do it.
Yeah.
Put your heart and soul into it and go out and do it. But you need to be aware that if you endorse one side over another, that the other side, the side that you don't endorse, is going to probably go after you because you're picking a team, you're picking a side, you're joining a tribe instead of just talking about philosophy or policy without saying this side is better than that side. When you pick a side, the side that you're not picking is looking at you and going, you endorse that side, all of it's good and all of it's bad. And then all they'll focus on is all of the bad that you've endorsed. So if you pick the right side, people who are on the opposing team will go, right, everything that the side that you've just endorsed that is bad, you now endorse that bad. So every time something bad's happened, every time something bad has been said or done, you endorse that. That's you own that. And the right side do the exact same thing to the left. And that's the problem. That now, it didn't used to happen, but we now live in a very, very closely knit world now because of the internet. I'll give you a perfect example of how somebody was pretty much off the radar and was able to just breeze through their life. And a lot of people will look at this. Before Stefan Molyneux endorsed Trump and he was just a pure anarchist arguing for peaceful parenting and doing interviews and doing the truth that this and before he was just coasting along. And every now and then, he would pick up fans. It's like, oh, peaceful parenting. Oh, anarchism. Oh, that story's interesting. I might listen. That's that. As soon as he went full Trump, the only way to save our current culture is to vote for Donald Trump. It's like you just picked a side. You just pissed off a massive part of your community. Since 2006, you've been preaching anarchism and peaceful parenting and the scientific method. And, facts don't care about your feelings and how to win an argument and the against me argument. That's what you've been arguing for 10 years. And all of a sudden, none of that means anything.
Right.
And people are just going to attack you. And he's tried every now and then to return to but it's too late. You full bore went in 2016, Trump is the answer to saving our culture.
Right.
Okay. And he tried to argue it as best he could, but it was too late. You endorse Trump, so everybody's going to look at everything that's bad on that side and go, you're endorsing that bad side. Now, I know he didn't come out and say, I endorse all of this bad stuff. I endorse all of this bad stuff that the right has done, that Trump has done, and I'm for all of that. Of course he didn't say that. He doesn't have to.
Yeah.
There was no need for him to do that. He did. People are just going to attribute all of the bad stuff to him, all of the false stuff about him. Oh, so you're for a racist white supremacist, and he'll come back and it's like, yeah, but he didn't say. It's like doesn't matter. There are people who have already made up their mind to those arguments, and they're now adding those arguments to you as an individual, and that is why after that. And every time he was in the media, and it didn't matter where he went in the world, he was being coloured, and he was being assigned, he was being attributed to the alt-right and this and that and the other, and all of the negative sides of the right and all of the extremes of the right were being attributed to him. Now, I know he's not that, and a lot of other intelligent people know that he's not that. It's too late, mate. You assign yourself to that, and everything, all of the bad, nasty, bottom, gut-feeding side of that team is now being attributed to you, and you have to own it. You can't go back on it. There's no way for you to go back on it. If you or I were to endorse either side, or even a middle-of-the-road milquetoast lip, I mean, that'd be it. That'd be the end of it. It's like, so, people, that's it. You're done. You're dusted. As an anarchist, as a voluntarist, you can never, ever, ever, ever endorse a side, or that's it. I mean, in my podcasting, we have people that play free to play. I'm free to play, so we never put money into a game. And then there are people that are pay to win. And I joke that if you've got a card, and as soon as you spend money on a game, I take that card off you. So, Stefan Molyneux lost his anarchist card. He lost his voluntarist card because he endorsed a side. So there, as soon as within culture, it's a long one there, but as soon as a celebrity or somebody within the culture, or like you said, a regular person endorses a side, through virtue signaling or through coming out and saying, I'm on this team and this is where I'm going to, you know, this is the hill I'm going to die on is on this side. It's like, well, you just associated yourself with all of the bad of that side. And the problem we have with the internet and social media is it's 90% seeing all of the bad, 10% seeing all the good. So everybody that supports the right, it's like, okay, all of this bad stuff, whether it's faked, whether it's doctored, whether it's manipulated, doesn't matter. It's there, it's in your face. That gets attributed to you. Exactly the same with the left. Anything that is crazy, that is out there, nuts, bonkers, bad, you know. So Dwayne Johnson is now, Dwayne Johnson is now on Team Crazy Left. Okay?
Yep.
And everybody that supports Trump is on Team egotistical maniac right. Because
I feel like there's the only time you can really, I mean, like, because like that's just like you said before, if that's your thing and you want to go ahead and, you know, use your reach, your bigger voice than the average person to endorse what you believe in, that is your choice. With that said, as far as the backfiring goes, there's really only, you have to be careful about how you can do this while playing it safe. So like we look at some celebrities that are pretty safe to assume they already have a political leaning or they would already be endorsing somebody else. You know, like we look at somebody like, you know, you take any liberal, vegan, I say, you know, liberal, because I know everybody doesn't seem to agree on what liberal means anymore, but, you know, left wing, vegan, you know, very pro LGBTQ community rights, et cetera, which I'm not saying those are necessarily, that's wrong or anything. It's just, that's kind of a very common battle they like to fight, you know, is for them, which is fine. But they're still associated with like leftist ideologies. So you take a celebrity who is very openly about specific leftist ideologies in that regard, and most people are just going to assume, they don't even have to say, yeah, I'm endorsing this person, I'm voting for this person. Everyone's just going to assume that's how they are. So there's not really much secret. And so eventually when they do come out and endorse them, it's like, yep, there it is. You know, it wasn't a surprise. Another example is actually, I guess we could maybe even say like Ted Nugent, for instance. He had, for years, he had, you know, his show, like Wanted Ted or Alive, where he'd have average everyday people on his property, and he would basically have them compete in a lot of like survival stuff, you know, like hunt a deer and gut it and do this and that. And it's those kinds of activities are more associated with the right wing, you know? So it wasn't as big of a shock that he came out being Republican and endorsing Trump. So when you already have very like stereotypical cliche political activities, personality, interests going on, you're more likely to be able to use that political voice to endorse your side without there being a shock factor. It's that shock factor that makes people go, what the hell? Because like with Dwayne Johnson, he literally started off the video saying, I've always been centrist and independent. And then he's endorsing Biden. And it's like, well, what happened? You know, so that's a big shock factor. When you have somebody that's already they live a very cliche right-wing lifestyle or a very cliche left-wing lifestyle, and then they endorse whoever, it's like, there it is. We figured that was the case. And they may not take such a big blow to their career and reputation. You know, you kind of, I mean, like, okay, let's just say all my dreams came true and my, you know, online cocktail, social media, side gig, whatever, I became this big old voice actor, whatever. I became some kind of well-known millionaire celebrity. Let's just say if that happened, I'm already so openly political at this point, there wouldn't really be such a shock. It would be, guys, she's been saying this stuff for years. You know, and especially since a lot of my stuff is based on conspiracy theories, distrust of government. I have been open about that on my Cryptid Bartender page multiple times. I have had a couple people give me backlash, a couple. And I just go, you know what? Why do you think I'm so interested in this? because I don't trust the government. And I've lost like 3 fans from that, like ever. You know, it wasn't a big deal. People are like, okay, she doesn't trust it, whatever. I would probably be a little more safe to kind of go that route over time, because that's already how I'm associated. That's how people see me. When you stay pretty middle ground and then all of a sudden you're endorsing a side, that's going to kick you in the ass real good. That is going to bite you right in the ass.
And it's
a gameplay. It's a strategy almost.
You're in. I mean, if you cannot come up with a legitimate argument, and I'm not suggesting that these people endorse a side, but you could say, I'm going to vote for this person. I mean, you and I know the futility of that. Right. But somebody who is a statist isn't going to see the futility of that. But it's, we were like, what's a real liberal? So, I mean, I would say left or right, because you can be liberal on both sides of the both sides of the political aisle. To me, it's I don't like what you're saying, but I will defend your right to say it. Right. So somebody for a perfect example with Dwayne Johnson would be, I'm going to vote for Biden because I disagree with the current president of the United States policy regarding this. And the person that I'm voting for has a policy that I can agree with that is the opposite of the policy of the current president of the United States. So he's not attacking or defending the character of either candidate. He is simply arguing policy. This is a hypothetical. So if everybody was doing that, then the political landscape would be very, very different. If people were saying, I'm voting for this person because that policy is terrible, it's awful, it has all of these unintended consequences, so I'm voting for this person because this policy has different unintended consequences, but they're not as bad as the unintended consequences as that guy's policy. I mean, he wants to spend X amount of billions of dollars on a wall that's 20 foot, 30 foot high. And all I can think of is, what a waste of money. Why isn't he saying, I'm going to build a wall 30 foot down to stop the, to stop all of the mules and the coyotes from, trafficking their stuff from that side of the wall to this side of the wall under the ground? It's like, so you're going to waste money on that? And this person's saying that that's useless, and that we should just, build a small fence, right? And have a little see-through fence, and have, hundreds of cameras pointing at it, and have dozens of people watching those cameras, because that's a lot cheaper. And then all of the billions saved can go on to, good facilities for, for people trying to escape. If people did that, you'd be like, oh, wow, okay, really? That person? So that's what that person wants to do that, and the other person just wants to build a wall. Wow,
it shows their intentions more.
You're winning me over to that person's argument. But that's not what happens. What happens is, he wants to build something that's subjectively racist. It's like, what? I'm sorry, the wall, an inanimate object, is racist. You get that it's an inanimate object, right? So your argument is that the wall has feelings. That makes no sense. You're talking crazy.
I get what they mean when they say, building it is racist, just because it's like, it's more the intention behind it, So like, I understand their concerns in that regard. And I mean, as an anarchist, I'm open border anyway. But yeah, I mean, though, that's just it. If you just say, because that's what I have to do with people too. When they hear, I'm an anarchist, they go, what, you support Antifa, you support smashing buildings, you support, taking away this consequence to this action, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, I've been through this situation, and I know many others who have been too. And I believe if this law was not there in place to protect those that cause the problem, we would have the freedom to accurately pursue justice for the person that caused the problem. Or I have to break it down and be like, no, I'm on your side. I want to see this happen. I want to see this. I want to see that. But obviously, this method didn't work. This method didn't work. This method didn't work. These all have these underlying consequences that actually hurt more people than it did good. So I believe we all need to work together better and create a better system together to accomplish this goal to help these people. And also you have to just be upfront about what your intentions are, because that's what people are afraid of, is what are their intentions behind everything they're endorsing. So you just need to say, you can't just say, yeah, I'm endorsing them. I would never, it's not enough to say, I would never vote Republican. I would never vote Democrat. That's not enough.
No.
You have to break down what you don't like, what you want to see. And for me, it's not enough to just say, I don't trust the government. Well, everybody is saying they don't trust the government.
Yeah.
They say that, they don't mean it, because obviously they're still working with it, but, oh yeah, I don't trust the government either. No, you just don't trust the GOP. You trust the other part of the government. You just don't trust the GOP. You are not resistance. You're not part of the rebellion. I get so sick of seeing all these freaking people saying like, I'm Princess Leia and I'm part of the resistance. I'm going to vote for Joe Biden. Fuck you. No, you're not. You're not part of any damn, it drives me nuts. But yeah. So you have to just be upfront about what your intentions are, because that's not only that, that's how they see, okay, you're actually a decent person. You actually put thought into this. You're not just blindly following this ideology because it sounds cool, because it's edgy, whatever. Mm-hmm. They need to see you've actually sat down and put not just thought, but ethics and morals and concern over other people into it.
Yeah. You've got. I mean, and the problem with picking sides and doing endorsements is it throws morals and ethics completely and utterly out the window, because both teams are guilty of the same sins. They're both guilty of the same crimes. So when people are like, oh, so you're a GOP, so you're a Republican, so you're supporting the bad racism side of the Republican Party. It's like, but so you're a Democrat. That means you do exactly the same thing. You're endorsing the bad racism side of the Democrat Party. It's like, no, I'm not. It's like, well, neither am I. I'm for the good that's done. I acknowledge the bad, and they'll try, and here's the thing. It doesn't matter how hard you try to say, I'm not endorsing the bad stuff that they've done. I hate the bad stuff that they've done, and I acknowledge and kind of like will promote the good stuff and kind of say that let's not do that bad stuff ever again. But you've got to, your side has to acknowledge the exact same thing. And it's like, but we weren't. It's like, no, you were. And then they'll start arguing over, who's the worst, or who's the baddest, or who's the nastiest, or who's the meanest. And it's like, that's just it. You stop throwing morals and ethics out the window. If you want to have that philosophical discussion, that argument over which side is better or worse, then bring it back to the present. And have a proper conversation. Have a conversation about the morals and ethics of why you've picked the side you've picked. Because you and I both know that if they do argue from a position of morals and ethics, they're slowly going to roll back. And it's like, yeah, actually, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't have picked the team. And see, that's it. The only way that you can undo an endorsement is to complete it. Okay, that's it. I'm done. Yeah, you know what? I'm not voting. I take back my endorsement. I'm not voting for that party. I'm not voting for that candidate, and I'm not voting for the other side either. It's the only way that you can roll back an endorsement. The only way that Dwayne Johnson can roll back what he's done is say, a lot of people have made some very, very good, well-rounded arguments toward me, and you know what? I think I made an error with my endorsement.
Right.
I'm going to remain in the center. I'm not going to endorse Joe Biden and Kamala Harris for president and vice president. I'm not going to endorse the Democratic Party. That doesn't mean I'm going over to the orange man bad side. I'm not going to vote for Trump. I am voting for neither, because the lesser of these two evils is still evil, and I'm not happy with it. So I'm withdrawing my endorsement, and I'm going to go back to being a centrist. That's what
Yeah, no, you're totally right. It is so hard right now, though, especially right now, because I mean, I can't tell you how many things I've seen that say like, fine, I'm voting Biden, but this is bullshit. Things like that. I mean, not most Democrats that I personally know don't like him at all. And a lot of them are actually looking into third party votes, which I mean, that's a step, I guess, towards the right direction. I mean, I don't vote, period, but it's still like, okay, you're waking up and realizing that the two-party system is an absolute joke. So it's baby steps. So I mean, hey,
Yes.
after the debates, I was seeing some of them say, yeah, Trump was acting like a bully, but Biden got what he deserved. I was like, oh my shit, the left wings are actually saying Biden got what he deserved from Trump. That's insane. Like,
Oh
like
no,
that.
no. The Biden team played that. I mean, I haven't heard anybody correctly analyze that debate. Not one single person. I mean, my analysis of it is quite simply put. The Biden team did it brilliantly. They did it brilliantly.
See,
they played. Oh, we know that Trump
I
doesn't
didn't
like
watch it.
people know Trump does not like it when people bullshit about him, or
Oh, I
they
know,
bullshit
yeah.
about his administration, or they lie. So his team said, every time that you get your 2 minutes, 15 seconds in, say something untrue, lie, bullshit. Just say something to trigger an interruption from him. And every time you speak, say something that's false, or that's something that's untrue, or something that is, veiledly wrong. He's going to interrupt you. We want him to interrupt you as much as possible, because if he waits until the end of the 2 minute and then goes, right, okay, that was a lie, that was a lie, that was a lie, that was a lie, that was bullshit, that was bullshit, I'm calling you on your bullshit, Joe. If he waits the 2 minutes, then he wins the argument. It's
totally.
not about, so what the Biden team were doing, it wasn't about winning an argument. It wasn't about putting forward.
It was about making him look bad.
It was about triggering Trump. And
I know, and
did
I'm not gonna
perfectly. They came out immediately after the debate and said, "We want more." Of course, they want more. They want to do every single time they debate. That's the time they are just going to trigger him, because Trump cannot abide people saying false things about him.
Oh, no, and you're not wrong about that either. You're not wrong about that either. My whole thing is just seeing Democrats and those on the left, et cetera, actually saying, like, they don't like Biden. They're just like, no, Biden is a piece of shit. Like, they're just openly saying it at this point. So now it's just tricky, because on one hand, you've got, we need to vote for Biden just to get Trump out because he is objectively worse to us. And then on the other hand, it's like, but you can't act like you love Biden either, because he's terrible. So it's this really awkward balance that the left is going through right now. You can't, you just want Trump out because you think he's going to kill us all, but you also can't act like you actually like Biden. You can't actually support him. It's literally, we don't think he's going to kill us as quickly as Trump is, So yeah, so I can only imagine being a celebrity, and for whatever damn reason, whether it's because Hillary Clinton pointed a gun to your damn head and threatened you to do it, or because you honestly think you just hate Trump that much and you just want him out and you think Biden is the best bet. I don't know. I don't care. But like, once you say you support Biden, I don't think there really is much coming back unless you grovel. Like you said, you got to be like, nope, that was dumb. Biden is terrible too. Or at least just say, look,
you could cut.
Biden's policies are here. I don't agree with these either. And now I see more just how much maybe more damage. There's more damage you could do to the country than I really considered before. And so I take it back, but I'm not going for that either. But even then, you're going to get people going, but Biden is the one chance we had to get Trump out. So you still like Trump better than you like Biden, because they're all saying a vote for third party is a vote for Trump, et cetera. Not voting is a vote for Trump. And it's like, you can't win in that regard. You either have to just be silent. I mean, really, that's really just the best bet at this point, is just don't even say anything.
Yeah.
Because
and that's the problem with culture at the moment is, culture is usually downstream from politics, but politics has kind of swallowed up culture. Whole 100% over in the last 5 years. I mean, culture used to be separate. It would skirt it. You know, we knew how the liberal elites ran Hollywood and ran California, and things weren't as bad then as they are now. But it was kind of, you know, it was the faux good intentions, and it was exactly the same with all aspects. TV, news, movie, video games. You know, culture was completely and utterly separate. You know, if you went to a video game website in 2014, you were going to see articles about video games and how good the graphics were and what the gameplay is. You know, how smooth are the graphics? You know, what is it better on PlayStation? Is it better on Xbox?
Yep,
now
I
you
had
go
all
to
those
a
magazines,
now
I
you go
remember.
to a computer games website, and it's not about how good the game is, what the gameplay is like, what the graphics is like. It's what's the politics of the game. Does
What's
it
the
have
underlying
representation
message?
in it? And it's like, but I just want to know, it's a first person shooter, you know. Do I have a good choice of character? You know, is there a good weapon choice? Are the graphics flawless? Is it smooth? What's the game engine that's been used? Is there a story? Does it have multiplayer? Are there microtransactions? That's what I want to know about a video game. Not, this game does not have the correct ethical and racial representation in it, therefore the game is bad. It's like, that does not make the game good or bad. You know, don't interject politics into culture where people don't want it. It's exactly the same thing with sports. Okay, come on, Titans. I want to see some ass kicking here. Yeah, I'm geared up, I'm G'd up and G'd up. And then you turn the TV on and you're blasted with political messages. It's like, I just watched a shit show of a debate. I don't want to be seeing it during my football now.
You need a palate cleanser.
Just give me, just give me two teams of 6'3" to 7 foot hulking muscle men beating the crap out of each other, trying to get that sheepskin from that side of the pitch to the other side of the pitch, scoring more points. Yay, go team. And it's like, oh no, you're getting the politics first. It's like, no, I just got, you know. If that's what politics is, I don't want it in my... So you're getting it in the video games. You're getting it in the sports. You're getting it in the movies. I mean, the Oscars, you know, Hollywood, the most liberal, leftist environment in the entire goddamn universe, and they think they need to be even more. And it's like, oh, in order to get an award, you have to fit this criteria. And it's like...
Yeah.
Okay, you were already doing it before. Why do you need to do it more? We already knew that you were doing it before, and you knew that you were doing it. So why do you feel the need to not just do it more, but tell everybody? It's like, we're going to do it. Just stop it. Just give us good movies with good stories. You know, we don't care about the politics of it. We just want a good movie with a good story so that we can sit there, you know, with our girlfriend or with our family, you know, or with our mates. You know, you go and watch Predator.
All my girlfriends, so many girlfriends.
Exactly. You go to watch Predator with your mates. So that's you know, you go and watch Predator with your mates. You go and watch Trolls with your kids, and you go and watch The Notebook with your girlfriend. You know, you don't go and watch a movie with your party political friends, and it's like, oh wow, my God.
Let's go analyze this. Yeah, go analyze this.
The political messaging in that movie was incredible. I mean, yeah, but what about the storyline? Oh, we don't care about the story. Everybody that was in that movie was on the correct side of the political argument, and we knew who the bad guy was. The bad guy was the right-wing person over there, and all of the good people in the movie were the left-wing people over there. And it's like that, yeah, but the story was crap. So it doesn't matter. It does not matter. The movie, it was politically correct. See, yeah. That's just it. And you don't sit down and watch. I mean, like Friends, when they put Friends on, it's like one of my most favorite TV shows from the 90s. You know, because it was funny. It was really, it was proper good old fashioned sitcom, and some millennial SJW watches it now, and it's like, oh, that was wrong. You can't do that. You can't say that. And I'm like, What's wrong about it? It's like, oh, well, you know, he was being, you know, overly aggressive, and it's like, no, he wasn't.
No, that's how just like with that 70s show. That was one of my favorite shows growing up. I freaking loved that show. But that's just it. Watch it now, and it's like, wow, nowadays you could not put that on the air. So many different jokes and everything. You know, like it's like, wow, that would not have flied this day and age. And you know what's funny to me too is how many you know, writers or whatever it may be, you know, all these people involved in all this, game developers, etc. They're all trying so hard to be racially sensitive, etc. But it doesn't change the fact that most of them are still white people who aren't actually listening to what many of these other demographics want. Mm-hmm. They're making the calls for them and they're screwing it up. So like a really big example that I've been seeing lately is changing Latina or Latino to, I don't even know how the hell you're supposed to, is it like Latinx? Because that's how it's spelled. How are you supposed, yeah. There's this trend of trying to non-gender languages. It's been happening with Spanish a lot, I've noticed, and I think German is like another target. They're trying to basically, because you know they have a lot of languages. They have a lot of words where you would say one like version of the, depending on the gender of the following word. Is it a masculine word? Is it a feminine word, etc.? So a lot of SJWs are trying to abolish that. And so it's become a very big thing in corporations, especially those just trying to get more sales, saying, we hear you, Latinx community. And, you know, they're just typing it all out. Who was it? I think it was Sephora I saw do that recently. And I think, was it Cartoon Network or is it Nickelodeon? One of those did that too. They're all saying Latinx. And I'm seeing all these Hispanic people going, that doesn't even work with our language. Nobody is saying that. Just say Latino, just say Latina, please. Like it doesn't even flow. And that's white people trying to change their culture and their language. How is that any better?
Yeah.
You know, like, so yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that going on where these woke, white, liberal, blah, blah, blah people are going in, trying to be a hero and calling the shots. And then you get actual people. Oh gosh, another example actually is when all what first started, I guess, with Aunt Jemima, when they decided to change the name and entirely remove the face of Aunt Jemima because of the history behind how the creator was first made. Originally, it was definitely a depiction of blackface, but then they changed that to an actual, like, you know, woman like face on the label. And there's this whole story about how beloved she was. And they started switching around all these, you know, we're going to take off the mascot from the cream of wheat box now, and we're going to change Uncle Ben's rice to this. And so they're getting rid of all the African-American mascots. And I'm seeing a lot of the African-American community going, we never asked for this.
Yeah.
This isn't what we wanted. You know, you're going to like whitewash the products now.
Stop erasing our history. Like, yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah. They're all pissed off. And so like you know, you could say, yeah, we want to be more diverse and more ethically sensitive, et cetera, all we want. And that's fine, but nobody's doing it right. Yeah. That's the problem. And it's making it worse.
Yeah. They're doing, you know, it's almost as if the leftist elites are doing the jobs of the nasty, horrible, far right white supremacists. It's like, what do they want? You know, so if you asked a white supremacist, you know, or a white separatist, you know, would you like? Are you happy with the Uncle Ben's face on this box, or would you like to see it removed completely and then stop calling it Uncle Ben's to Ben's Rice? And they'd be like, yeah, I don't like seeing that black face on the box, and I don't like the name, and I'd like something more neutral. Cool. It's like, okay, well, these guys over here, they think the exact same thing as you. They want the exact same thing you want. They want to remove that face and they want to change the name. So do you support them? And they'll be like, hell yeah, I support that. Yeah, I'm 100% for that. And it's like, what about all of these other packages? So Aunt Jemima and this. So would you be for us removing all of that? And it's like, yeah, because they're just thinking with their base thoughts. They're just thinking. They're not thinking about history. They're not thinking about culture. They're not thinking about character. They're just thinking, I don't like that color because they're idiots. I want it removed. And yet the people over there are thinking, we love that color so much that we want to remove it. It's like the actions are the same. The reasoning's different, but the actions they want to carry out are exactly the same. That's why you get numpties like Richard Spencer endorsing Biden. I mean, if it's they're like, Trump has to distance himself from these people, and it's like, and if he doesn't, he's tacitly endorsing them, and it's like, so why hasn't Joe Biden come out and condemned Richard Spencer who endorsed him yet?
Well, there's a whole history of Biden saying some like really horrible racist stuff.
No,
like,
he has.
Honestly, oh yeah, totally. And I mean, like, it's just such a shit show. And I guess a lot of the big reasoning behind, as far as like the mascots and all go, is that a lot of them say, well, white owned companies should not be making money when using people of color, or whatever term they like to be referred to. They shouldn't be making money off of African American mascot, a Latina mascot, et cetera, because they themselves are not Latina, they themselves are not African American, et cetera. And it's like, okay, I can understand the concern there. At the same time, when you have a very large portion of that community saying, we want them to stay, this is a friendly face, it represents us in a good light. We understand that there was a bit nasty origin. However, steps were made to remedy that to the point where we were happy. Why change it? Why get rid of it entirely? You're entirely removing, you're literally just leaving like white faces all over the products.
Yeah.
So how is that, how is that better?
Or alternately, don't get involved.
Mm-hmm.
Literally never get involved. So somebody comes out and says this packaging should be changed. Silence.
Yeah.
We should be changing it. Silence. Because the people at the top in the boardroom should be saying, it's a half a dozen, 100, 200 people on Twitter complaining about this. The people buying our products don't care. The people shipping our products don't care. The people making our products don't care. The people packing our products don't care. The people advertising our products don't care. Nothing changes. Ignore them all. Yeah. Forget about them. We're not getting into this agreement. And if 100 people on Twitter want to boycott our product, and they're saying we're going to boycott your product, they're probably people that aren't buying the product. So we just ignore them and we remain silent. We're just talking and that's that you do that for every single product. The second a company steps into the culture, just like Dwayne Johnson, the second Gillette steps into the culture, they lose customers.
I'm totally
Nike
fine
steps
with them,
into it, they lose.
If there's like an obvious racial stereotype and it's like obviously offensive, then it's like, yeah, okay, by all means change it. I actually had like when the Aunt Jemima thing first started going down, I don't remember exactly what I said. I said something on Facebook about how I'm like, a lot of you, I was really more directed towards angry white people who are throwing a fit over Aunt Jemima getting removed, not because of why they're removing it. They just didn't like the change. It's, I just don't like it because it's catering to the left, So that was more my issue, was like, you're just mad they're catering to the left. That's all this is. You just don't want to see the left win. That's all this is. That's your whole goal. So I made a post about something about like that. And I had someone coming in and say that she took the time to say to me, here is where a large portion of the Black community actually feels we don't want it gone either. And here's why. And she broke it down to me. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense to me. Thank you for explaining it to me. And I had a few people reading her post going, who does she think she is to speak on the behalf of them like that, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, y'all know she's Black, right? She is a Black person. So, I mean, you're white. Why do you think you have the right to voice your opinion even louder in that in that regard? You know, it's like none of them know how to do this right.
Yeah.
None of them legitimately know how to do this right. That's
exactly.
that is the problem. You're doing, your intentions might be good, but you're doing more harm than good. So don't mess with things unless you know for sure it's actually going to be for the better. Please, if you don't know enough about it, then just keep your mouth shut.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's what's best for, especially if it's regarding a product you don't use, it doesn't affect you at all whatsoever. Don't just follow what the big corporations say they're going to do. Don't just, follow what the big talk celebrities are going to say they do. Listen to the average everyday person, because ultimately they're going to tell you how people really feel, not what Huffington Post says. All that stuff. They're getting paid to say a certain narrative. Don't listen to these sites getting paid to say a certain narrative. Listen to your friends. Listen to the random people, the friends of the friends on Facebook. Take them seriously and learn from them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Otherwise, just keep your mouth shut.
Yeah, or just stay. I mean, like Gillette did their thing, and then
what did Gillette do?
Huh?
I actually don't know what Gillette did.
Gillette made a.
Wait, are you talking about the toxic masculinity thing?
The toxic masculinity thing. Yeah.
Okay. I thought you meant they endorsed someone.
They took subjective words and opinions and tried to make them objective in a commercial or male product, and it didn't go well. Because it's like you're preaching to people who are not your customers and don't buy your products and probably will never buy your products, while alienating customers who do buy your products, who are now saying, well, sod it, why would I buy Gillette? You're going to take my money and you're going to put my money as a customer into things I disagree about.
Right.
So why would I give you more money? Why would I buy your products, no matter how good they are? Because there's no denying that their products are good. Yeah. Absolutely no denying that their products are good. But what they're saying with commercials like that is, we're going to take the money that you spend on our products and we're going to put it into things that you might have a moral and ethical disagreement or a theological disagreement with. So that then makes people think, you know what, you may do really, really good products. But I'm kind of like, you know what? Maybe I'll switch to the maybe your razor might be good, but you know what? Panasonic do a really good electric razor. So instead of spending my hundreds of dollars a year on your products, I'm going to spend money on Panasonic, and I'm going to get the latest technological, brilliant electric razor. So you've just lost me as a customer. I'm going to put my money into something else. And Nike doing the exact same thing, with the whole flag on the trainer and then not doing it, deciding they were going to do it and then not doing it. It's like, you could have just made that trainer and put nothing on it, and people would have bought it thinking it's Nike. It's usually a decent. I mean, I wouldn't, because obviously, the whole children and sweatshops in China thing, which doesn't seem to be a problem for people on the left. It's more about the social justice method, not the actual justice method. That using children for slave labor is wrong. I'm not using kids to do jobs is not wrong. Using child slave labor is wrong. And when I say using children to do jobs is not wrong, it's we have paper boys. What's wrong? Is anybody? So the products themselves can be good, but it's the messaging and it's where it's coming from. So I think that if when people express outrage, when people are culturally outraged by something, a lot of the times the companies and the organizations themselves need to just ignore it, because we are talking about a tiny percentage of a small percentage of the population that is on a social media platform. Okay, now it's tiny. It's literally, you're not talking tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands or thousands. You're talking about hundreds of people. Okay, and all you need to do is ignore it. And the reason why all you need to do is ignore it is because the people that are constantly outraged by things that they see as wrong with culture will always find something to be outraged new next week and the week after that and the week after that. Can you remember what Twitter was outraged by 2 weeks ago? Because I can't even remember what they were outraged by a week ago. Or 4 weeks ago, or 5 weeks ago. But I'm sure
scrolling on my Twitter trying to find what we were all pissed off about this week, because I couldn't even remember.
The thing that everybody was pissed off about this week was the debate. And then obviously, and it was the debate. That was the primary source of it. But I'm trying to think. So I can't remember what everybody was outraged about the week before that, or the week before that, or the week before that. So when you take that as a company, and or as something that's part of culture, whether it is movies or TVs or a company that produces a product or sports or video, it doesn't matter. Comic books. Audiobooks, books, it does not matter. When somebody comes out and says, you're doing this wrong and you need to change it, silence. Just remain quiet about it. Okay?
See, I'm fine to like an extent if there are certain areas that's obviously like, okay, that was obviously very offensive. Obviously, this was an issue. Some things are just more blatant than others, and sometimes things slip. And they don't really think about how they slip through. And then it's like, wait a minute, that was actually a pretty improper thing to say. That was actually very offensive, whatever. And then they'll try to remedy it. That's fine. We can look at, we can look at like old Looney Tunes cartoons and how horrible they were. Horrible. They were so terrible. Especially like the World War II propaganda ones. Okay, I have seen, what are they called? The something 11. I can't think of the exact name, but there's like 11 Looney Tunes cartoons that are banned because they were so horribly racist. Okay, and a great deal of them were war propaganda ones, and I mean like full on Asian racist stereotypes and Black stereotypes. I mean, they were pretty terrible. And so now what Looney Tunes actually did was say, look, we're not going to air it, but like, I guess like I think it was in their DVD collections, they left them on there saying, let's take a look at what we used to think was okay and recognize now this is not okay. So they're not hiding it. They're not masking it. They're saying, look, we learned from our mistakes. It's different now. We're trying to do better. I think that's wonderful. That's good. But there's just so many things that's like, I remember this one Dove commercial, for instance, that was in an uproar for a good while. And it started off like there was a woman who I believe it started off with the Black woman. And she like took off a dirty shirt or something like that and exposed a white woman underneath. Right. So everyone's going, oh my gosh, Dove is saying, wash away your dark skin. This is so offensive. And then they cut out in these commercials the part where the white woman does the same thing to expose a Latina woman. So it's like, okay, you guys are getting angry over a commercial you didn't even watch in full, and you're completely misunderstanding the intention of the commercial because you hadn't seen the whole thing. That's not something to get angry over. That's not something to boycott over. Like maybe they didn't really think it through when they did that. They didn't stop and go, maybe people might misinterpret this. But it was not intentional, obviously, as seen in the next 5 seconds of the commercial that none of you are watching because you're angry about this particular part that has been cut off and turned into a GIF, So, I mean, I am all for slowing down, going, okay, this is insensitive. This is wrong. Let's change the, for the better of the future. We shouldn't be making fun of this. We shouldn't be saying that. I get it. That's fine. I'm all for it.
Treat you're absolutely. When outrage
we have
is
to be
deserved,
careful. Exactly. Yeah. We have to make
when
sure
the outrage is deserved. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
That's exactly it. There's plenty of times when it's just not deserved. And that's when you're hurting your cause. Well, like last week's episode, that's when you're hurting your cause and you're self-sabotaging yourself because you're just looking for anything to get angry over. And you're not stopping and going, okay, this easily could have been an honest mistake. This easily could have been somebody going, no, they just didn't think this through. But then that's when they'll say things, well, that just shows that obviously they have nobody but white women because a black person would have caught this. Okay, but if you watch the next 5 seconds of the commercial, you would have seen that was not their intention. You're just holding on to this tiny little area going, oh, this is horrible, blowing it totally out of proportion and making yourself, and again, their uproar was mostly white people, trying to be a hero. It's like this comic that keeps getting thrown around of like this African-American woman saying, I'm not this, or I feel this. And then it's this pink-haired white woman class, she's got like buttons, political buttons on her shirt. And she's putting her hand over the African-American woman's mouth saying, oh no, you poor thing. You've just been so whitewashed that you don't know what you're talking about, but it's okay. I know all about it. And I'm here to save you. It's like, that is the general attitude. And I'm sorry, that is racism, everybody. That is legit racism in the left community.
I tend to throw their arguments back at them. If it was to, if I was to ever engage in something like that, I would literally, if I was out and about and I saw something like that, I would apply their logic to them. I was like, as you can see, I'm a man. And on issues of abortion, you've told me that I need to shut up because I'm a man and I can't have kids and it's none of my business. Well, you're not black, so apply the same logic to yourself. Shut up. You don't get it. You don't get to have a say, so shut up. If I have to, you're telling me to shut up because I'm a man and I'm not allowed to have an opinion on abortion. Then you're a white person. Shut up. You are not allowed to have any opinion on racism at all. So apply. But if it doesn't apply to you, then let's have so you want to have the argument about race? Fine. Let's have a moral and ethical argument about abortion. And they'll be like, no, you don't. Then shut up. Then shut up about what you're doing. And and I just remembered what everyone was outraged on social media about 2 weeks ago. It was Mulan.
Oh yeah, there's lots of reasons why people are mad about it.
It was Disney thanking the administrators of a concentration camp in China.
See, there's lots of reasons why people have been pissed off
people
at
aren't.
Mulan, though.
But it's Disney, people aren't outraged. By
but it seems
anymore.
like they really dropped the ball with Mulan, though. I've been hearing so many different reasons why people have been boycotting this. For like the girl that played Mulan, she was actually like in support of the police when they were all
China. Yeah,
there was all kinds of stuff going on. And then there's how they're charging up the butt to see the movie from home. There's all kinds of stuff going on with that
money thing, the charging thing, the $30 thing, that's actually not, I don't actually, I mean, I saw a lot of people saying that's the least concerning thing. Because $30 is what, it would cost you less than $30 in tickets for mum, dad, and the kids. That's what they've equated it to. They've gone, how much does it cost for a family to go to the cinema? Well, let's bring it just underneath that and charge them for that, because it's not one person paying $30. It's the financial people saying, well, $30 is about right for a couple of kids tickets and a mum and dad ticket, or, 2 parents.
Oh no. So I get what you mean. It's just, there's just so many different reasons that people have been hating on that,
and you get like a New York Times article within the last 24, 48 hours that is literally Chinese propaganda. And you're like, okay, I get it. So you're for the, so the liberal elites, sorry, the leftist elites, not the liberal elites, leftist elites are actually pro-China, which is why they're not as outraged about Mulan now as they were 2 weeks ago. It's like, okay, we'll have our flash in the pan outrage so that we can be, so that we can signal our virtue. And then we'll move on to something else to be outraged. I mean, there was one person in Hollywood that I think has maintained the outrage, and that's Judd Apatow. And I mean, I've seen him go off on Twitter. I've seen retweets of some of his stuff going off the political left deep end. But on this, he's like, no. This does not get ignored. Concentration camps and millions of people being abused? No, absolutely not. Not on my watch. I'm not ignoring this. And I'm going to call out everybody else in Hollywood that is pro-China. Stop. Just stop. Stop being pro-China. They are literally sterilizing and treating Uyghur Muslims in China like slaves and keeping them in concentration camps based purely on a tiny percentage of Uyghur Muslims that are behaving like terrorists, because that's why China are doing it. Like for example, over here we had we've had riots and we've had looting and we've had violence from a large swathe from 7% of all of the protests. So 7% of the Black Lives Matter and left protests have descended into complete and utter violence and chaos and torching of buildings and rioting and looting, but it's only 7%, right? Mm-hmm. But we don't take all of them and throw them into a concentration camp.
Right.
In China, you have a tiny percentage of Uyghur Muslims that are, nasty and evil terrorists, Islamic extremists. But what the Chinese government has said is, well, because of this tiny percentage of Islamic extremists, we're just going to take your entire people and throw you all in concentration camps. And it's like, you cannot apply that generalization across an entire board. You just can't do it. But that's what they've done. That is what the Chinese government has effectively done. They've taken the tiniest percentage of Islamic extremists and applied the rules that they're going to deal with them, Islamic extremists, across people who aren't Islamic extremists. They're just Uyghur Muslims just trying to get by in and go along in life. They're just trying to get along to go along. But, and they have concentration camps. And Disney, thanks to the administration of those. Sorry, I'm being politically incorrect. Sorry, re-education camps, because they're not concentration camps. Of course, they're re-education camps. Because re-education camps, re-education camps good, concentration camps bad. If it's on the left, if it's on the far left, it's a re-education camp. If it's on the far right, slash. Open bracket.
Everybody's Hitler.
Yeah. And so it's just, it's completely and utterly bonkers. And if they applied that logic to everything, and that, it goes back to the hypocrisy that we see in celebrity culture, that we see in the culture. It's like there is no universal application of the standards that are espoused by certain different types of people. If everybody just went off the same standards, there'd be a lot less arguing. There'd be a lot less hypocrisy. Because all that seems to happen now in 2020, because of everything that's been said over the last 4 years, is just people constantly calling each other out for their various different hypocrisy. It's like, you weren't for that, but you're for that now. That's hypocritical. And both the left and the right do it to each other, and it's completely and utterly bonkers. Stop it.
I'm more than happy to learn, if I say something like I didn't know what had a nasty background or whatever. I mean, I try to learn this stuff all the time. I try to be more sensitive to various demographics and be like, okay, show me where this is wrong, show me that, and I try to be as considerate of everybody as possible. And like you said, I am white. I'm white as hell. And so I don't have the same experience as someone as another demographic growing up a certain way. I've had my share of struggles in many other regards, but there's some things I'm just not ever going to really understand as somebody who is white. So I'm more than happy to hear everybody out. With that said, I also know that there are just so many who have different opinions, different thought processes on it all. They may be the same demographic, but they've come to different conclusions and different methods. It's no different how, I grew up in a poor area. I grew up on government assistance. I grew up struggling. I grew up as an abuse survivor. I grew up as this and that and this and that. And my conclusions are still so greatly different than many others who grow up in a similar lifestyle, even living in the same area and everything. That's just how people are. So it honestly doesn't, it just, in some regards, I mean, obviously, again, some things are obvious and blatant. This is wrong. This is bad. This is racist. But other things, you really just have to hear everybody's opinion on. And it doesn't make, I think people don't realize how biased they are when they're only listening to a certain demographic speak about what they think is, the remedy for whatever situation or whatever, but only if it aligns with what they think too.
Yeah.
Like you can't really do it though. You have to listen to everybody. It's just like, I mean, I don't know everything. I'm more than happy to hear everybody out and say, okay, explain to me, please, how this has affected you, how this has hurt you because of your culture or whatever. Not that their culture's hurt, but how you were hurt simply because of who you are and what your culture is. Explain it to me. I'm more than happy to hear it out. And this is why I'm such a strong component of let everybody live their lives how they see fit. Leave everybody alone. Just live and let live, because I feel like that would also help with a lot of various racial issues. If you just have that mindset of they're different, but they're not hurting me, there's going to be less clashing, less, that's a big part of it for me.
Yeah. And if you see that somebody is being hurtful or harmful, it's like, oh, this person over here is being racist. Their actions are, it's like, show us, because there are people we want to help. We want to.
I'm more than happy to help.
We want to fight racism. Fighting racism
I just want to make sure
is a good cause. It's a good thing to do.
I just want to make sure I'm doing it right.
Yeah, it's got to be done right though. But saying this abstract group is racism. Oh right. Oh brilliant. What is it they're doing? Well, they're just this. It's like no. I want you to tell me exactly what it is. What are they employing racists? Can you show me the evidence and the receipts? Or is it some racist policy that they're applying? We need to take a step back. We need to go to the people that said that so if this police department is applying a racist policy, we need to go to the legislators or the city or the council and go, hey, you need to change these rules. These rules are being, bad for this group of people, and it's hurting them. It's being harmful to them. We need to change it. And if it's not them that's created it, and you just you infinitely regress it back until you reach the point where it's like, well, okay, you need to change X to Y in order to stop this people, in order to stop this group from ordering this group to do this that's unfair on this group of people here. But just simply saying racism, doesn't work, it doesn't change, it doesn't help, and it doesn't make things better.
It gets to the point where you're crying wolf.
Yeah.
After a while,
and if you keep saying it, when it actually happens, what is it? Someone said, let's fight systemic racism, and I'm thinking to myself, I only know of one example of systemic racism, and it's being fought right now, and that is the systemic racism within the Harvard within the Harvard institution regarding people applying to be in Harvard. There is a group of people fighting systemic racism within the admissions policy of Harvard of Harvard Law School, and that is so it's being fought. So when people see systematic racism, they are actually fighting it. So the Harvard applications are different based on the skin color of the student applying to join. And it's like, wow, really? So they pick and choose based on skin color, not based on the skill set? So that's bonkers. That's systemic racism. So you have a class action there's a group of people taking legal action against that institution that is showing systemic racism. And that is being fought. So that's what so if there was a police department that says we're going to treat this race differently from this race regarding burglaries or regarding homicides, you would go, that is a policy that is being, so who created that policy? Oh, it's the local council. So you then lobby you need to change this policy now. That is systemically racism. You cannot treat victims of this specific crime based purely on the color of their skin. That's wrong. Okay. You treat everybody. So whether it is a white person, or whether it is a black person, or whether it is a brown person that is reporting a crime to you, you apply the law equally to every single one of those people. But if you're saying, oh, we're going to apply it faster to this area because there's more of this race in it, that's wrong, and the policy needs to, that's how you fight it. But there are so few legitimately so few actual physical tangible examples of systemic racism that you just get people saying, oh, the whole system is racist. It's like, well, you can't give an example so that we can fight together and beat it. But if you're just going to say it and you're just going to constantly cry wolf, then when actual examples of systemic racism occur, people aren't going to believe you because you just keep saying it's the entire system.
There's a difference between because when we say systematic racism, it's like it's planned to be that way, like you said, like it's a policy or something.
Yeah, it's a systemic racism,
right? It's an actual plot.
Yeah,
right.
It's an actual policy,
and that's just it. It's not that's not the case with police. With that said, I just flat out say, with how many positions, here's where I start off. Positions of power attract those who crave positions of power and those who want to abuse their power. Those who want positions of power where they can abuse their power tend to be pretty terrible people. And oftentimes terrible people do tend to have, they're not always racist, but a lot of them are. Or they might not even say, yeah, I'm racist, but they just act it. They think, oh no, I've got a black friend, so I'm good. I'm not racist. But then they treat them differently in actual real life situations. And it's like, no, there's obviously some kind of, racist difference there. You're treating your white friends differently than you're treating your black friends. You're treating the white criminals different than you're treating the black criminals. And maybe it just doesn't even click. And to be honest, I've known so many examples of people like that. They say, I'm not racist. I love Mexican food. I'm not racist. My first friend back in elementary school was black. I'm not racist. But then I'll hear them say really horrible racist stuff. And they go, well, I'm not racist. I still like them. Okay, but what you said was actually incredibly disgusting, And I feel like that's a very big issue amongst a lot of politicians, police, etc. They themselves would not identify themselves as racist, but their actions are racist and they don't realize it. So it's not systematic because maybe they're not planning on it being that way. That's just what happens when you clump together the worst of the worst people. It's just it's a cause and effect. It's just a natural reaction.
Well, yeah, that's racists within a system, and it's actually easier to fight. It's easier to fight racists within a system than to change a systemically racist institution. I mean, the group that are fighting Harvard, that's a large group of people, and they're taking it through the courts. Yeah. They're fighting that. They're having to fight that through the courts because Harvard is saying, no, that's our policy, and we're sticking to it, and we ain't changing it. And a group's like, yeah, but it's not good. It's not a good policy. You are discriminating against a group of people based purely on their ethnicity. It's wrong. You absurd. Cannot do that. It's stupid. It's wrong. And then you've got these three cops treated this person in such a vile, evil, and racist manner, and we've got the body camera footage. They used they used racial slurs against this person, so they've exhibited racist action, so they must face the consequences of their negative actions. And we might, and You that's what you do. You club together, and if you see,
you hold them accountable.
You hold those individual people accountable. You can't say that person's been racist, let's bring the entire system down. It's like, well,
I mean, I'm fine with the entire system going down in this case.
but
that's another story.
You've got exactly that's that's a different moral and ethical argument.
Yeah,
we're talking about people arguing for policy.
Right.
People arguing for policy based on the actions of one or two or three or four individuals. It's like those 1, 2, 3, 4 individuals encompass all of that entire thing, and it's like and then, like I said, they're making hypocritical arguments. It's like, okay, so we're going to apply that. So can I apply that to you? Can I say that because of the 7% of the Black Lives Matter protests that descended into riots and looting, so that because of that 7%, the 93%, they're all tarred with the same. So it's not 93%, all of you. So the entire system, your entire movement must be brought down because 7% were bad. So because that 7% were bad, that's it. We're going to apply your logic to every single. That's it. No more you can't have a Black Lives Matter protest anymore because there's a 7% chance that it's going to descend into chaos and looting and rioting and violence and death and physical injury and physical harm, because you're applying that to that. You're saying that entire police force is systemically racist because of the action of a half a dozen cops. And I'm saying that your entire movement is violent and hang on a minute. So yes, regarding things like fighting systems and stuff like that, you need to find a system. You need to find what is genuinely bad, point the finger at it, and then good people are going to come around and want to help you fight that. But just constantly throwing it out. Oh, this is bad. This is what's bad. Point to it. Show us what it is. We all want to help. We all want to fight it. If what you're saying is true and what is bad, then we'll fight it together.
Exactly. I want to help. I want to listen to the cries for help. I want to be an ally. I want to be a good asset, but I need to know how to do it correctly. And I need to know which battles to fight, and if nobody can really piece it together right, and I'm hearing all these different, stories and, well, this is the problem. This is the problem. It's like, well, can we slow down for a second, analyze everything, and then we can figure it out and all work together? I can't work with, this is systematic. Well, no, it's not systematic. We just have a bunch of crappy people. They're not planning and plotting. People are not signing up to be a cop, planning and, I'm sure there are some, but as a whole, they're not planning and plotting to sign up and be a cop and we're going to just treat African Americans and minorities worse than everyone else. Whoa, that's not what they're doing. They're finding their buddies, they're finding their like-minded individuals who want their power trips, and they kind of just flock together, and then you get these little gangs, these little cliques of people who are treating everybody else like shit. And that is definitely an issue. I fully agree with it, but we need to label it correctly so we can address it
exactly
correctly.
So that it can be addressed in the appropriate way. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Otherwise, we're just going to go in circles.
Exactly. Otherwise, we're just going to go back in circles. And circles is a good. Yeah, we've come back. We've gone full circle. We're at the end of the episode. We've been going for just over 90 minutes. We had a couple of pauses in there, but I hit the pause, so it'll be good. It'll be fine. So I think we've gone 90 minutes, and we've had a good 90 minutes. We've got a lot out. We've ranted. We've raved, and we've talked about what I think we wanted to cover today. So so it's that time of the show where we say please hit that like, hit the subscribe. Any comments down below, and what do we want our question to be that we want people to we didn't really come up with anything, but if we think of something, we'll tweet it out later. So hit the poll. On the poll, hit the like, hit the subscribe. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter if you want to follow us on Twitter. Harley is a lot more vocal on her Twitter than I am. So if you have any questions, you're probably more likely to get an answer from Harley than you are from me. But you could still ask me. And what we'll do is, yeah, exactly. And we will be back next week. Harley, have you got anything to say before I end the broadcast?
Do I say punch government in the dick again?
That's the beginning of the that's the start of your show, Pot.
I can't end it that way. So I need to come up with an ending now. I need to come up with an ending catchprise.
Yes, you can come up with an ending catchphrase. You just think
I'll think of that.
Absolutely. but yeah, so that will be it. Harley's going to come up with an end of show catchphrase, but until she does, I'm just going to say ta-ta for now, folks.
Bye, everyone.